Pepe Le Pew. Who knew that he was actually teaching your boys date rape is okay? Yeah, I never got that out of Pepe either, but apparently people on the left did, and now he gotta go. What a couple of weeks it's been. Not only do we have a mounting real legitimate crisis on the border, of course, the mainstream media won't really talk about that. It's getting out, but they really don't want to acknowledge that Joe Biden's open door policy isn't quite working out like they thought, and there now is this overrun on the border, and now there is the potential for all these corona-infected people coming in and potentially being a super spreader. But, we can't really spin it that way. We've got National Guardsmen locking down Washington, D.C. They have now converged on Portland, and we have reporters at places like CNN and MSNBC wanting to know, well, why are there 1,000 National Guards members in Portland? What's the purpose of that? Well, gee, we've got trials beginning regarding the death of George Floyd. And what was it that happened over the summer? We are watching our own history not only being erased from 100 years ago because of revisionist historians and the way they are respinning everything, but we're now being told by CNN and PMSNBC that these Portland riots, they didn't really happen. No, not the exaggerated way in these pictures. These are all gross exaggerations. Wait, what? We've got an addled-minded dementia president who hasn't held a press conference. He can't seem to do anything without becoming betwixt and befuddled and not knowing what he's doing, where he is. And it's really sad. He wouldn't even get past the first round in a TV game show, and this guy is in the Oval Office.
This is Jeopardy!
So I want to thank you both, and I want to thank the former general. I keep calling him general, but the guy who runs that outfit over there. I want to make sure we thank the secretary for all he's done to try to implement what we just talked about. And I want to thank the former general. I keep calling him general, but the guy who runs that outfit over there.
Oh, sorry.
But then our heartstrings were tugged and pulled at on Sunday night because Oprah sat down with the ex-royals. Didn't tug at my heartstrings because I didn't watch it. And about the 30 seconds that I did catch, and I don't remember where, if it was online or while I was channel surfing, she's sitting there, Meghan, and you don't understand. It's not like you see in the movies and on TV. There is no class teaching you how to be a royal. I didn't even know what the British national anthem was. I had to Google it. Wait a minute. So your idea of how to prepare to be royalty was to what? Watch The Crown on Netflix? Really? Seriously? They didn't prepare me. I didn't even know what the and my heart's supposed to bleed for you? I'm supposed to bleed for you that you've had all of your royal credit cards taken away, and what are you going to do? You've only got $50 million, but you bought a $14 million mansion to live in. And Oprah sat there so shocked that, you mean they really didn't train you how to be a princess? With everything going on, this, first of all, is there really any Americans that care about this? I'm serious. I couldn't give a flying flip about the royals. And I certainly don't care about the ex-royals. And it's pretty obvious that while Meghan might be a looker, she's kind of a bubblehead. I'm serious. I mean, these are the serious crises and plights of her life. And we're supposed to be, this is an act of racism? How about it's just an act of that the rest of the royal family kind of figured out, there's only one reason Harry wanted you, honey. It has nothing to do with your daytime activities. It is strictly what you provide nocturnally, and they just realize what a ditz you are and kind of low rent no matter how good looking you are. And you can't say that the day after International Woman Day. Well, I just did. And this is ridiculous that this nonsense, this hogwash, is being given this level of credence. But that said, now they have set their sights on Pepe. They weren't satisfied with neutering Mr. Potato Head. They couldn't just call the Muppets racist and be done with it. Disney Plus couldn't pull down movies like Peter Pan and Swiss Family Robinson because obviously these portray horrific stereotypes of certain ethnic groups. No, nay. Now we have to go after Speedy Gonzalez and Pepe Le Pew. Gabriel Iglesias, otherwise known as Fluffy, hilarious comedian of Mexican descent. He does the voice for Speedy Gonzalez for the upcoming new movie Space Jam 2, which Pepe has been cut from. But the New York Times thinks that Speedy's got to go too because, after all, it's making fun of people of Mexican descent. But Fluffy, Gabriel Iglesias, Mexican descent, he does the voice for Speedy. And now he wants to know, what? You're canceling Pepe. Are you going to cancel Fluffy too? Boom! So Pepe Le Pew is going to teach little boys that date rape is okay. Can I point out the obvious here? We're going to cancel a fictional cartoon because apparently his behavior is that abhorrent to females. But Andrew Cuomo gets to live this behavior in real life, and he doesn't get canceled. He gets to be the governor of New York. Let that sink in. Let that sink in about the real problem. We hear Me Too. We hear the feminists. We hear the liberal politicians giving all this lip service to we need to treat women with equality and they need to be believed and they need to be dignified and given respect. And when they come forward, they need to be treated like the patron saints that they are, unless they're making the accusation against Democrats. Then all of a sudden, we get a little fuzzy on the details. Cuomo's still hanging in there. We've got, 6 women come forward. And he's said he's not resigning. He's not going to do it. You've got Bill Clinton. Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, we know about them. But this Pepe Le Pew, a child sitting down and watching Pepe Le Pew is going to damage his psyche and teach him that it's okay to date rape. And where did this piece of wisdom come from?
Like I was with my nephew, we sitting there, we watching Pepe Le Pew, and I say to my nephew, I said, now pay attention to this guy because he's funny. I used to watch him when I was little. And we watched Pepe Le Pew, and I'm old now. I'm looking like, good God, what kind of fucking rapist is this guy? Like, take it easy, Pepe. My nephew was sitting there cracking up.
Oh, I get it. It's okay for your nephew to hang out with you, a crackhead pothead who can't seem to put 6 cognitive words together without dropping the F-bomb in there because apparently you're incapable of actual articulate, thoughtful speech. You can be as filthy and vile in your language and your description and depiction of whatever it is that you don't like, and it's perfectly okay for America's kids to sit down and watch your videos, but oh man, we can't have them watch that cartoon skunk. Nuh-uh. 10-year-old boys can go online and with a couple of clicks be in adult XXX content websites. Pornhub, There's no screening whatsoever to prove that you are, quote, 18 years old and allowed to be there. And the so-called websites that do check, I guess what they just ask and you click yes or no, because, 10, 12-year-old boys, they never lie about that sort of stuff. So that stays. That's okay, but Pepe's got to go. You understand, this ranks right up there with the whole Dr. Seuss thing. These titles not only aren't going to be printed anymore, but even the ones that already exist will not be sold by Amazon or any online digital book retailer. But Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf is readily available. Because, Hitler didn't say anything disparaging about Jews or black people. Kyle Kalinske at Secular Talk the other day was bringing up that seems like every time there's some real hot button issue, all of a sudden in steps cancel culture with a new outrage. And that's a pretty good observation. It's all meant for a diversion. And I know some of you are thinking, Pastor Marty, why are you wasting time on Pepe Le Pew the cartoon? I'm getting to it. But Kyle, you were also incredibly wrong, because you were basically saying this is what the conservatives want to talk about, because they don't want to talk about the fact that none of the conservatives voted for the $15 an hour minimum wage increase. 80 of your Democrats are what sunk that. Don't look at our side of the aisle, Kyle. That happened on your side of the aisle. So, don't even go there with that. And it isn't the conservatives that are going out and making this stuff up. It isn't the conservatives that are thinking, oh man, now that the Democrats run everything, what are we going to do? I know, we'll start writing articles that they're no longer going to have Mr. or Mrs. Potato Head. It's just going to be Potato Head. They're going to go gender neutral. We didn't do that. The left did that. We're not the ones issuing warnings before the Muppet Show that it contains racist content. We're not the ones pulling down old TV shows and old movies off of streaming services. We're not the ones wigging out over cartoons like Speedy Gonzales. He's insulting Mexicans, yet a Mexican actor does his voice. Pepe Le Pew teaching date rape. Roadrunner, it's too violent. Kids will be throwing safes out of the windows on each other. Yes, because kids can do that. Porky doesn't stutter anymore. Yosemite Sam doesn't carry a gun anymore. Elmo Fudd doesn't go rabbit hunting anymore. Kyle, it isn't us doing this. It's your side of the aisle that does this overreach, and it never stops, and it's one on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other, and it's like we never get to catch our breath. Every product now has got to be woke. Coca-Cola's got to be woke and teach their employees stop being white. I'm sorry, at Christmas time, those white polar bears that are hawking back the bottles of Coke, are they going to be black bears now? Couldn't watch a cracker commercial this past Christmas without it somehow having to be a social justice message. Here's how a transvestite eats an Oreo cookie. Really? Really? I mean, everything has just gone so over the top with this that now we go after from Dr. Seuss to Pepe Le Pew. And yeah, Kyle, it is kind of a big deal. Because what's happening is the 1% that is apparently offended by everything now gets to dominate the 99% that is not offended by everything. And there are certain things that offend me that I don't like, that don't line up with my ideals, that don't line up with my outlook. And I may gripe and grumble that I don't think we ought to be doing that, or I don't think that content ought to, but you know what? At the end of the day, I'm not canceling any of it. And if I stumble on something online, on television that I don't like, don't agree with, it's an amazing thing, Kyle. I watch something else. But your side of the aisle, that used to talk so much about celebrate diversity and everybody's got the right to freedom of speech, man. Now all of a sudden it's your side of the aisle that wants to deplatform all conservatives, muzzle anyone that says anything they don't agree with. Case in point, people have been pointing out that from right side broadcasting on YouTube to anyone else that featured the full CPAC speech of Donald Trump, the speech was taken down and they got put in YouTube prison. And that you can't find the full speech in its entirety. Well, Newsweek decided to fact check that. And in a little article they talked about, well, it's not true. You can find highlights of his speech. You missed the point there, Newsweek, purposely. What if I don't want to watch the 90-second version of his speech? What if I want to sit through, again, all 2 hours of it? There's only 2 videos on YouTube that haven't been taken down yet. One through Sky News, which is, I believe that's the official news outlet from Australia. And the other is a Fox affiliate, probably out of Phoenix. But if you don't specifically go to those places, you won't find it. Just typing into the search engine, Trump CPAC 2021, you'll get a few highlight clips. That's it. You can't find the speech in its entirety, but you fact checked and said, yeah, you can find these 2 copies, so anybody that says it's not there, there's lying. Trump saying anything, bringing into question anything about the 2020 election, immediately you are censured, you are deplatformed. But yet, all the speeches and all the rhetoric over 4 years of Russia collusion and that illegitimate election, and it's all readily available. Nothing fact-checked, nothing stripped, no strikes, nobody censured, nobody put in YouTube prison. That's your side, Kyle. It's your side. Now, Kyle, I want to believe that you try to think these things through, but you really don't. Case in point, the other day I saw your clip when you talked about on the death of Rush Limbaugh. You rewatched his 60-minute interview from 1991, and it hit you. He's really not an ideologue. He has been doing this the whole time for the money. He's just an actor. He's not an ideologue. Again, you miss the sarcasm. Yeah, when he said, he was asked, do you do it for the money? He goes, of course I do it for the money. By the way, Kyle, I got a feeling somehow between your podcast and your YouTube stuff, you have figured out a way to get paid for what you're doing. See, I'm one, I can sit here and say, I don't do it for the money because I don't get paid for any of this. I'm a staff of one. I put all the clips together. I am a staff of one. I get paid as a pastor. I don't get paid for political commentary. That's my hobby. But you, Kyle, you do what you do to somehow get a fiduciary benefit. So are we not to take you seriously anymore? Maybe you really are a committed born-again Christian and not a secular atheist like you portray yourself. When you said Rush is not an ideologue, no. You missed it. Which is why you miss the connection that people have with Donald Trump. You don't get it. Rush was very much an ideologue and very passionate about what he believed. That's why he was so good at it. And in his sarcasm, he says, yep, I do it for money. You can't do what he did for decades and build audiences by the millions, which dwarf every other political commentator out there, and not have a real, genuine connection with your audience because they get it. You're speaking what they want to say. And I know, Kyle, on the one hand, you're kind of like me. I think even you look at this whole Mr. Potato Head, Pepe Le Pew stuff, and you go, what? Why is this even a thing with all the real stuff we've got going on? And you're right. On the one level, why is this a thing? But it is a thing. Because your side just doesn't stop. Nobody ever gets a chance to catch their breath and breathe and live their lives. And everything is being canceled. We're seeing up called down. We're seeing black called white. What's good is now being called evil. What's evil is now being called good. That's what's driving everybody nuts, Kyle. We're living in a society where we are wimpifying and neutering literally the male gender. And that's been going on for decades in the public schools. Case in point, Ritalin. Ritalin is not about helping young men become better students. No. It's about neutering and emasculating their maleness. Drug them up, make them docile, make them compliant. Because little boys who talk out of turn, and little boys who are headstrong, and little boys who are opinionated, and little boys who want their way, they grow up and tend to be leaders. They grow up and tend to be inventors and innovators. And what little boys who are ADD really need: structure, discipline, correction, repeat. It's work. It's ADD, it's ADHD. No, it's BOY. They're a boy. And it's the way they're wired. But we want to emasculate them. Make them compliant. Don't think. Which is what we're doing to children en masse right now as their schools are closed. Don't think. As we strip away any type of kid entertainment and the stuff that we are replacing all of this with. Well, we can't have these violent cartoons with skunks that are rapists. We've got to have value-oriented cartoons. So here's little Timmy the Rabbit talking to his little friend Jimmy the Rabbit and explaining that it's okay that Mikhail the Rabbit has 3 daddies. This is what we're doing to kids. This is what we're doing to our culture. And this is why some of us are saying, you know what? Enough. Can't control so much of what these loons are doing in Washington, D.C. We're organizing. We're trying. But even the ones that we elect get there and don't do what they say they're going to do. But there are certain things we can control. And for heaven's sakes, if sitting down in the evening, somebody wants to watch Pepe Le Pew, and now we're going to make that a thing, you understand what's going to happen is it's just going to drive up the black market value on all this stuff. And at some point, I don't know who it will be, but somebody in Hollywood, somebody with enough connections, enough juice, enough money, going to start buying the rights up to these things. And they're going to start reproducing it. Because there is a cultural civil war and a counter to the cancel culture. That's what's going to happen. For heaven's sakes, leave Pepe alone. Because if you're going to cancel Pepe, but 10-year-old boys are still going to be able to access Larry Flint online, give me a break and spare me all of your phony baloney hogwash about we're doing this because we respect women. Bullhawk. Hey, that's it for this little rant today. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and a like. Share this media to your social media platforms. And don't forget to smack the bell, click the word all to get notification of my next rant. Oh, and check your subscription because you've probably been unsubscribed. I didn't do it. It's just one of those friendly services provided by YouTube.